Oh, okay. Hello?
Your dad's on the phone with Barack Obama.
Yes. Well, yes. Mr. Obama? Senator. Well, thank you. Thank you. He's really a nice guy.
What did he say?
He congratulated me for winning Kansas.
Things are never the same as they're going to be.
So that was Third Party '08 by Andrew Gingrich. And here we have the man himself, Andrew Gingrich.
Hello.
Who's going to tell us a fascinating story about how this amazing short came to be.
Well, this short was really a fluke. I was a camera assistant. I was planning on being a camera assistant for another student film being made at MCAD that was, had some money behind it, called Helen's Hero, which is still in the editing room right now. But the director had rented a Red camera. Red one, very nice cinema camera.
And what was the rent on that?
Too much money. I don't even want to think about it. Anyway, so she had rented this, but she hadn't shot with it before. I hadn't used it before, and she wanted to make sure that someone knew what they were doing with it before they got on set. So I, out of the goodness of my heart, I volunteered to take it for a night and put it together and shoot something and try it out, basically. And so I figured that was too good of an opportunity to pass up. I just had to make something. And so I got together with a friend of mine, Matt Kane. He was the cinematographer for it. He did all the lighting and most of the shooting. And I emailed pretty much all the actors I knew in the Twin Cities and asked them, it was Halloween night, so I thought nobody was going to show up. I said, who wants to give up their Halloween night to make a short film? And a whole bunch of people, really fantastic actors, said yes. So we had this embarrassment of riches. We wrote the script based on who was going to be able to be there. And so we shot the whole thing in an evening. We had it edited over the weekend, and we had it up online by the day after the presidential election, which, fast turnaround time, good stuff.
Yeah, considering the other thing that's being used with the Red is still on in the cutting room.
Yeah.
But that's probably a much longer project.
Oh, it is much longer, much more complex. Very good film. Hopefully we'll be able to see it someday.
So what was it like being able to work with, I mean, you've got the who's who of local actors. Jim Westcott, his daughter Annie Westcott, Jesse Griffith, Heather Amos, Melissa Hoppy, and Landon Banks.
Landon Banks, yes. Well, these are all people I'd worked with before. I did a short film 2 years ago, I think, called Higher Purpose, in which I called for a bunch of extras and said, maybe you'll get a chance to do a speaking role. And as it turned out, we used a lot of footage from the extras. And that's where I met a lot of these people, and I just had so much fun working with them. I called them all, and I've worked with a lot of them since, and they're just great actors and great people.
Amazing, amazing. I was especially impressed with Landon's performance as the crazy person.
Oh, well, Landon can really bite into a role like that, better than anyone else.
I noticed you kept the people's actual names for some of the characters, like Melissa was Melissa and Jesse was Jesse. Was that intentional? Or?
Yeah, I mean, part of it is a lack of creativity on my part when I was writing it, but for characters like that where their names don't really come up that often, I think it's, it helps people get into character, and you can just call them by their real name or their character name, and it doesn't matter which. I think there's something to be said for playing yourself in a movie.
Except for Landon.
Except for Landon.
He's not that crazy.
Almost, but not quite.
I noticed when I was watching it, was there more of a sort of a free-form improvisational quality
There was.
to it?
Well, I've really been influenced a lot by the work of Robert Altman and his camera movements. Also, I've been watching some John Cassavetes movies, and there's a very similar style where it's conversational is the way I describe not just the dialogue and the acting, but also the way the camera moves, and it sort of drifts from person to person. And as it wound up, I was operating camera a lot myself on that shoot, just because I didn't know where I was going to light during the camera move. And and that worked out pretty well because we only had 2 crew people. So one of us was running camera and one of us was running sound all the time.
Oh, okay. So instead of the script saying so-and-so says this line, you would give sort of a so-and-so talks about something general?
Well, we did script, but I really encourage people to ignore the script. That's one thing I say to pretty much every actor every time I work with them on anything is the script is just a piece of paper and it's probably not written very well anyway, so just forget about it. And, you know, do what comes naturally. I think that's where the best performances come from, and you know, anyone can read something off a piece of paper, but it takes an actor to really be the part and give a performance that I don't expect.
I must say, all the actors in this just did an amazing job.
Absolutely.
So you did a great job with them, especially since it was almost like an accidental production. You know, you just happened to get going with it. Were you trying to say anything political in it, or was that just sort of...
Well, I mean, I'm wary of talking too much about my political motives, because politics have come up in the last couple movies I've made, and I really do think it's just coincidence. I'm hoping that it's just coincidence, because I don't want to be the political filmmaker. But, I mean, I think that really we all knew leading into the 2008 presidential election that it was the beginning of a drastically different era. No matter who won, things were going to change a lot. And I think that the Strobe Jensen gets the last line there where he says things are never the same as they're going to be. And I think that it really is a poetic, truthful sentiment. I mean, I grew up, my whole adult life, Bush had been president, and I hadn't known anything else, and it was frustrating to me. And I think that's true of a lot of filmmakers my age. We haven't seen a lot of political movies coming out of this latest generation of filmmakers, and I think it's because a lot of us who are, let's face it, more liberal than Bush, at least, we feel frustrated by that lack of dialogue, and I think it's improving a bit. I don't know where we're going now. I really don't know the future of politics in film or any of that. But hopefully there is one. I think there's a lot that movies can say politically.
So you mentioned that this is the second one of your political things. The other one being Discouraging Words, that we're going to be running a trailer for right after this interview.
Feature film.
Tell us some more about that. That's your senior thesis project.
Actually, a friend of mine started writing the script years and years and years ago, sort of in the middle end of Bush's second term, and it started out as this like violent, hateful diatribe against Bush and how stupid he was, and we had a character who was just like a complete stand-in for Bush and what a moron he is. But I picked it up and started writing on it, and a whole bunch of other people have written on this script. And it turned into something that I think is a really honest piece of storytelling. And so I decided I was going to shoot this as my senior thesis film. 120-page script, 2 hours long. We shot the whole thing in July of this year. Matt Cain, again, came back to Colorado with me, and he was my cinematographer.
Wow.
He's just a talented guy and incredible to work with, especially we had to move really fast, and he was able to get these beautiful setups out of nothing at all. I don't know how he did them. But so we got the whole thing shot, and now I'm back here and I'm cutting it, and I'll keep editing until it's done or until I die.
So how much total footage do you have in length of time?
It's about 26 hours of footage. Yep.
And so you're going to try to weed that down to 2 hours, huh?
2 hours. Hopefully a little bit less. Shorter is always better.
Are you going to do a special director's cut for people
No.
who want to see more?
Well, see, this is the advantage of being as independent, i.e. poor, as me, is that nobody is telling me what to do. And the final cut that everyone sees, that's my cut. That's the director's cut, and I don't have to make an alternate version ever.
One of the strengths of student films is nobody's telling you what to do except yourself, although
Absolutely.
One of the weaknesses is you don't have the money from the people telling you what to do. So we can look for that. You're graduating in this upcoming
spring of 2010. It'll be out in the summer of 2010. I don't know where it'll be showing. I don't know what its future is, but if it's a good movie, hopefully a lot of people see it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
A lot of
appreciate
fun.
it. I appreciate you coming in and being interviewed and helping out with the cameras for other people's interviews.
I really enjoyed it.
So yeah, and fixing all the things that were broken around here.